High life. For real. But she want a nigga like me. Like me.
She said she wanna ride with a nigga like me.
Ride with a nigga like me.
High with a nigga like me.
High with a nigga like me.
Vibe with a nigga like me.
Vibe with a nigga like me.
Shine with a nigga like me.
Shine with a nigga like me.
Ride with a nigga like me.
Ride with a nigga like me.
High with a nigga like me.
High with a nigga like me.
Vibe with a nigga like me.
Vibe with a nigga like me.
Shine with a nigga like me.
Shine with a nigga like me.
Shawty wanna ride with me,
Shawty
young
wanna
buck.
ride.
I bet she picked the swag from her first look. I got a hook, she overboard, I'm head captain. Pockets filled with hundreds, we can make it happen. Started off a game, now this real shit.
Real talk.
You were just a fucking, I was loving it. You played your part, and time that really made a spark. She hit my heart when them other chicks made it dark.
For real.
Times change, it's really hard to explain. I won't complain, I'm a man trying to do my thing. So what it is, you know how a nigga is. I handle bitch, wanna ride with a
She
nigga.
said she wanna ride with a nigga like me.
Ride with a nigga like me.
High with a nigga like me.
High with a nigga like me.
Vibe with a nigga like me.
Vibe with a nigga like me.
Shine with a nigga like me.
Shine with a nigga like me.
Ride with a nigga like me.
Ride with a nigga like me.
High with a nigga like me.
High with a nigga like me.
Vibe with a nigga like me.
Vibe with a nigga like me.
Shine with a nigga like me.
Shine with a nigga like me.
Damn, lil' mama bad, she be swaggin', bruh. Her ass fat, plus lil' mama tatted up. She be jammin' in the club with her whole crew. Plus I'm a fly nigga, so I walk through. She wanna ride with a nigga, get high with a nigga, just vibe with a nigga. You can shine with a nigga, for real, cause baby, this how I'm living. And Charlie addicted to money, so baby, we gonna get it, no lie. We ride out just like Bunny and Clyde. We both addicted to the trees, so we ride and get high. Just to make time go by, she be riding for real. She want a nigga like 100, so you know what it is. She said she wanna ride with a nigga like me.
Ride with a nigga like me.
High with a nigga like me.
High with a nigga like me.
Vibe with a nigga like me.
Vibe with a nigga like me.
Shine with a nigga like me.
Shine with a nigga like me.
Ride with a nigga like me.
Ride with a nigga like me.
High with a nigga like me.
High with a nigga like me.
Vibe with a nigga like me.
Vibe with a nigga like me.
Shine with a nigga like me.
Shine with a nigga like me.
Shawty bad, I walk up and get a number. She shine bright, plus she hot, so I call her summer. Them lanes they be looking, them dope boys wanna. Only thing about it, that bitch my woman. Damn, shorty loyal, and she my main squeeze. When I throw her long, then she call me Drew Breeze. I go up in it raw dog, we be wrestling. She even make her own guap, she independent. She pay her own rent, hair nails too. We ride night and day, bitch, we just Tom Cruise. Rolling up the Cali, cause I feel you Uncle Snoop. Shorty say she down the rock, that's what we
She said she
feelin'.
wanna ride with a nigga like me.
Ride with a nigga like me.
High with a nigga like me.
High with a nigga like me.
Vibe with a nigga like me.
Vibe with a nigga like me.
Shine with a nigga like me.
Shine with a nigga like me.